This episode is brought to you by Podcast Assist, offering voiceovers, audio editing and mastering, transcriptions and show notes, episode summaries, and even hosting a podcast on a topic important to you. Visit facebook.com/podcast assist for more info on their flat $30 per hour rate. Subscribe with iTunes, Audio Boom, Stitcher, or your favorite podcasting app. And if you enjoy what you hear, like us on Facebook. Also, consider throwing a little cash our way by visiting patreon.com/KoreaFM. And find more of our great content on our home on the web, KoreaFM.net. Due to suspected cheating, the ACT exam used for admission to American colleges and universities was canceled for all test takers in South Korea and Hong Kong, the first cancellation of the exam to ever affect an entire country, which prevented some 5,500 students from taking the test at 56 different centers. To find out how important the ACT is for Korean students and how those who were scheduled to take the exam are affected by its cancellation, I spoke with a U.S. college prep expert based right here in Seoul.
My name is Peter Chi. I'm the managing director of IvyConnection. We were established in 2002 and we are a college admissions consulting firm. What we do is assist students with the college counseling process, college admissions process, I would say. And we generally start guiding students so that they could find the perfect major, the activities that they may be interested in, or, the best fit schools eventually, and help them craft an interesting story that would stand out in the eyes of admissions officers.
Saturday, June 11th, news made it out that the ACT exam used by colleges across the U.S. To test, the students that you just mentioned were canceled for all test takers in South Korea as well as Hong Kong due to suspected cheating. And ACT says this was the first time the exam had been scrapped for an entire country. So being that, you work in this industry, you deal with students who obviously take tests like this, were you surprised by this at all?
Yes, actually, that's a very good question, and I was absolutely surprised. They've never really canceled an exam for an entire country. There have been instances, for example, in 2007, for a few schools, or another one recently where they canceled an exam for a school, but they've never really canceled an exam, all over the country. Because, for various reasons, bad press, they didn't want to seem like they didn't have a handle on the situation. I have a lot of friends that are, academy owners and managing directors of these academies, but, there have been rumors since last year cheating has been rampant. And, this year when they canceled it, since it was unprecedented, I was extremely surprised. But at the same time, I do hold, much respect for ACT because they had the balls to do it.
The reason that they said they did is because they said that the test was leaked in advance. And the cancellation actually only came hours before students were to take that exam. Once again, used by most U.S. colleges, close to 2 million students every year taking it. Now, obviously, I'm not in the U.S. This is talking about South Korean students, but many Korean students not only attend U.S. schools each year, but even more than that, they apply. And so that means that they would have to take a test like this. So could you just talk about generally how important is the ACT for Korean students? Is it just as important as the SAT? Is it more important, less important?
It's considered equally important. Obviously students don't have time to take both exams. So, a lot of students take the SAT or the ACT, and colleges don't discriminate, on either test. The thing is, a lot of students recently, because of the rampant cheating in SAT, have been moving over to the ACT. And, as a result, just ACT hagwons are booming. And, amongst the, hagwon circle, Korean cram school circle, there have been rumors that, this recent exam was canceled because of a certain place that I guess I feel a little uncomfortable mentioning to you right now. But, it's extremely important because without it, they can't get into college. A lot of Korean students at boarding schools or attending international schools in Korea, they have really strong GPAs, lots of APs or, strength of schedule. And at the same time, they also have really high testing scores. But unfortunately, because of the rampant cheating over the past years, there has been like a Korea-China discount on the scores because students that with even sometimes pretty low GPAs are scoring extremely high, even maybe perfect scores on the exam. But yes, to answer your question, the exam, ACT is extremely important for all of our students applying to U.S. colleges.
You've said something like rampant cheating a couple different times so far. The Guardian says that South Korea has become notorious for standardized test cheating rings. And as you mentioned, there have been some problems before. This isn't actually the first big cancellation. Back in May of 2013, the College Board, which administers, as we just mentioned, the rival, the SAT college entrance exam, stopped giving the test for a period in South Korea because they too said that exam materials had leaked. And tutors and owners of private South Korean test cram companies, like you just mentioned, currently on trial here in South Korea related to that incident. So you've mentioned this a little bit, but I'll just put you on the spot. Do you agree that South Korea has a problem for cheating? Is it known for cheating?
Yes, absolutely. It's actually pretty big. And, it's been prevalent in the industry for the longest time, as long as I can remember. I've been here since 2006, and cheating has been around since then, as a matter of fact.
How do these companies, you mentioned that this current incident might be because of a specific institution or specific, whatever you want to call it, we'll just leave them nameless, but how do companies here in South Korea help their students prepare for these tests, prepare for the ACT or SAT? Have you heard of companies, once again, you don't feel like, if you don't want to name anybody, that's perfectly fine. I understand the situation you're in, but have you heard of instances where companies perhaps have crossed the line, engaged in activities that could be called cheating to prepare their students for the exam? And what would that look like? Would it be this is the exam that you're going to take, or would it be something a little less obvious than that?
It's actually, it's obviously a little less obvious in case something does go wrong. I've heard instances, like through the Hagwon, Hagwon means cram school in Korea, the Hagwon industry, where people are close with each other, or they like to talk, and they will tell students, for example, the sample exam or the mock test that we're taking today is an extremely important test. Wink, wink. You guys should memorize it if possible. Some places I guess there are two forms of cheating. One where they kind of predict which exam is going to be recycled because there are only so few exams that are available. In a sense, College Board, the excuse they make, or the ACT, I guess, is it costs a lot to make these tests. While I kind of partly agree, they really need to make one and done kind of tests, but because they don't and these tests recycle, they're able to predict the exams, and that's not as bad as a form of cheating, I would say. But another extremely, a more extreme version of cheating would be academies just somehow getting their hands on an unreleased exam, a test by brokers and whatnot. And again, telling students, during cram sessions, kind of sneaking in their material and say these are important questions or important tests and whatnot. Yeah.
I also spoke with students studying here in South Korea to get their reactions to the ACT's accusations of cheating in the ROK.
I'm from Spain, and I'm a regular student here in Korea. It's surprising that they canceled the whole country for just a suspicion, but here a lot of people go to university, and sometimes they don't have the chance to go to university in Korea, so they have to go to the United States. And if I was going to do the exam and it got canceled, and it's not my fault, I got canceled, I don't have the chance to do it again, it would be really, really bad for me. But if you get the exam in advance and you can study it and then you can copy paste it in the actual exam, that's how they will do it, because they don't want to learn, they just want to get marks. That's what is important for them.
I'm from Germany and I'm an exchange student for a semester. Well, to be honest, it's not that super surprising, because I heard of a couple of times that professors and students were cheating a lot and copy pasting work. So this is maybe some kind of notion in universities. Korea is the country where I heard most times of people, students, professors cheating and getting problems because of tests and so on. But I think the Korean labor market is pretty hard, and if people don't get the chance to get an extra asset, it will be really tough for them in the long run to get maybe a job or to achieve the goals they set for themselves.
And finally, while ACT canceled this exam, the test will, of course, return to South Korea in the future. And IvyConnection Managing Director Peter Chi has advice for both Korean students and their parents for preparing for the exam. And then so finally, Peter, if you're a Korean student, your goal is to go to an Ivy League school. I know lots of Korean students who have gone to fine schools in the U.S. They're not part of the Ivy League, so there are definitely a wide range of schools that people are looking to go to. What's the best way to prepare for the ACT, the SAT, other tests that are required for South Koreans to study in the U.S.? Obviously, you work for IvyConnection, so you might think that's a good way, but, if money is an issue, or if money isn't an issue, what can someone do?
To be very honest, I recommend a lot of parents for them to start very young if possible. There are books on the top SAT 100, SAT reading recommended list that they can maybe get started with, starting even from 6th or 7th grade. And I just try to tell them, try to have your students read a lot, build their vocabulary, and this alone will actually help them score, pretty high in the critical reading portion of or verbal portion of the SAT exam. But, if students aren't as I guess well off or, have the advantage, are born with a silver spoon, they can also take advantage of, free online courses like, Khan Academy or, some of these other courses online that, kind of places where College Board even offers. But, the reason Korean students and Chinese students alike have an advantage is because they just have access to the tests that are going to be released. And fortunately, this only applies to students in Korea and China. The exams that are administered in the U.S. are different. So the students that take the exam over there, they're okay.
I'm Chance Dorland for KoreaFM.net. This episode is brought to you by Podcast Assist, offering voiceovers, audio editing and mastering, transcriptions and show notes, episode summaries, and even hosting a podcast on a topic important to you. Visit Facebook.com/Podcast Assist for more info on their flat $30 per hour rate. Talk radio, music, and podcasts from the Korean Peninsula. KoreaFM.net.